Well, it's another day, and I gotta say, today we're gonna just have fun. Typically on my fun days where I just kind of want to mess around my desktop. Beautiful thing about Linux desktop for me is you just kind of get to choose anything you want. Now I've done DWM a lot in the past, and I'm obviously continuing that, and my dream is to bring DWM to the masses. It's been done a lot, and a lot of people have attempted it, and to some varying levels of success. And I just, I don't know if we'll ever get there, but we're gonna just keep trying until it does. You know, it's one of those things. It's not necessarily the destination, right? You know what they say. It's not the destination, but it's the journey. And I really just love the journey. I know, like, I was following some people in my Discord, and I know they were like, I'm trying to modify DWM to add like cursor warping or taking away or toggling it. And they're like, how do I add that? And I was like, you program it and see. Which is a terrible, terrible response, and I know that. So today I think we'll add some toggles. I would love to see like a graphic toggle capabilities. We might brainstorm some toggling and making it to where people can customize a little bit easier. But yes, and I'm sorry for the late stream today as well, because it's just beautiful here in Texas. It's like 70 degrees, just sun shining. It only happens like 1 or 2 weeks out of the year here. So I was just like, I don't even want to start. I'm gonna go for a walk, sit outside, just enjoy and touch grass while I can. Normally the grass is either fire or it's Christmas. There's really no two other seasons here. So that's kind of my experience. So, and it's so nice like this, I just gonna start a little late. So probably the next couple weeks, probably gonna be like that, and then it'll start getting kind of cold, and then I'll be like, all right, back to normal scheduling. Big news today as well. A lot of people were probably noticing internet things yesterday not working, or not working properly. Big news was, well, it happens. It seems like this happens more and more, and also kind of why I don't trust big tech. A lot of people host their backbone of their scalable business on AWS, Amazon Web Services. US East 1, one of the biggest data centers in the world, had some outages yesterday, and that also took down a variety of different services, or at the very least, the services were impacted while that was going. So if you saw sluggish internet yesterday, you should probably know it's just AWS going on. We've seen some other things like this when it comes to Cloudflare outages. Almost everything gets filtered through Cloudflare. My website's hosted on Cloudflare, and it's pretty good as well. So it's always DNS. So fair, that's true. But yeah, as more things get centralized with these few services, when they do have outages, most people are pretty badly impacted. I think there's only a few services that kind of roll their own, Facebook being one of them, believe it or not. If you're ever interested in kind of seeing the back end from a network engineering perspective, I remember when Facebook did a bad BGP update to their network infrastructure, it crashed Facebook for the entire day. That's kind of funny. I probably should have tested that a little bit more before pushing it to public, but it's still like a thing. People always think everything in 2025 is completely redundant, and there's not just some network engineer somewhere that could completely crash everything. Yeah, it still happens, guys. So just so you know, just because you host it with these big things doesn't mean they're immune to outages. It just means it should happen less. But yeah, we'll see. Either way, I still like using them when I can get it affordable, and I still use Cloudflare for my website hosting because it's pretty much free. But I'm under no disillusions of, hey, sometime in the future they're gonna go, man, that Titus guy is using over 1 terabyte of our bandwidth, and he pays us like nothing every single month. We probably should charge more. And then when that happens, I'll probably translate or move it services. And I've migrated my website from a whole variety of things. I remember back when I created it, it started with just a simple Linux server. And then I did something really stupid and I decided, oh, I'll self-host that on a Windows server using IIS just as a fun little activity to see how crappy IIS is and if I still had it. And that was like in early 2010s. And then of course I stayed on that for a couple months and I'm like, okay, cool, I can still do it. And then I was like, this is stupid, I'm translating it back. And then I hated WordPress and someone's like, hey, static site generation, whether it's Jekyll, Hugo, a whole variety of different ones of those. And then I could just go on for so much when it comes to the internet and how things are hosted. And there's just always know there's some more efficient way of doing things. And it's funny, most things that every other business or thing people use, typically it's not the most efficient, and most times it's pretty dated. And when I'm seeing kind of a trend lately where most people just don't even want to learn anymore, so they just use like super archaic crap. Like businesses, a lot of businesses, I would say a huge chunk still use WordPress, which is crazy. And then the other parts of small businesses use like stupid sites like Wix or Squarespace. And that's fine, I guess, if you're just like a mom and pop shop and you don't mind overpaying for your website stuff and just not want to bother with it, have some kind of web interface. Feels dirty just even mentioning them. So yeah, that's typically what businesses do now with websites. And I could just go on this whole tangent, but we're getting lost already. Chat, anything I need to talk about before we get on the desktop and start looking at things? Because, so much to approach here. It's so much fun. So, hey, how's it going? Caleb's in the house. Christoph, how you all doing? Yeah, WordPress is just full of vulnerabilities. That's just like what WordPress is good for. If you want to get hacked, use WordPress. It's awesome for that. Because inevitably what happens is you hire a developer that doesn't know anything about the actual back end. They can make some stuff look pretty, but then nothing gets updated, and then they use about 50 different add-ins. The website's slow as crap, and you pay through the nose for it, and then you get hacked. That's typically the playbook for most businesses these days. I'm not salty at all about it, but you know, you could do better. You could do better. Yeah, that's it. All right, cool. Well, let's get on the desktop. If you have anything in chat, just hit me up, and we'll get into it. Let's see how it's going. Oh boy. All right. Oh no! What happened here? Oh no, that's not right. Oh! I should have probably looked at that a little bit before the stream, but you know what? That's just what we got. All right. Charlie, thank you so much for the sub, by the way. 14 months. Very, very cool. Man. Wrong portal. Alrighty. I know some people were talking. Sasha says in chat that they are having an issue with the skip bypass Microsoft account not working. It should work. I did it 2 days ago or something. I use it quite often. There's a lot of different interjects you could do there. Like if they ever do block this, just know most of people that work for Microsoft are incompetent. So there's probably 3 or 4 different bypasses I have already kind of loaded up in my brain, and they'll probably try and block it as best as they can, but in reality they're never going to be able to. So that's okay. I'm not really worried about Windows or anything. If you can think it up, I just want people to know this. You're not pigeonholed into that. The human mind is truly incredible, and anything can be overcome. So it's so important to just realize that. Even if you're using somebody else's product, there's always workarounds. It's just, you gotta think it up. Don't ever think you're locked in because big tech tells you have to use my product this way. There's always a workaround. Always. There's some way of getting around things. So don't ever think, oh, I have to use this, or I have to use this way. There's always a solution. It's just whether or not you want to spend the time to find the solution, or if you just want to try a different product. You know, everyone else. Darren, thanks so much for the tier 1. Second month. All right, brother. You can still activate Windows through a phone call. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's crazy. I haven't done that in years and years and years. I mean, these days, almost everyone just uses a script to activate if they don't want to pay some shady CD key website, or if they don't have an existing key that they upgrade. There's so many different ways. I don't think anybody actually buys Windows anymore, though. I mean, it's just very, very, very common. I can't remember the last time I actually purchased a Windows license. Typically, I've always had some kind of key, or it depends on what it is for. Typically for businesses, you wouldn't use like an activation, like a KMS activation script. For those, you'd need some kind of authentic key, because if you do get audited, IRS audit or something like that, they probably will check to see if you have authentic licenses. So important to actually have authentic licenses in business. For personal people, though, KMS activation scripts is pretty much what you're gonna see all the time. Tux, thanks, man, for the sub. 18 months, man. So cool, so cool. Hello. Oh man, I had a terrible experience today trying to switch my home lab from Proxmox to Windows 11 Pro. I somehow managed to break it twice within an hour, so I wiped everything and reinstalled Proxmox. Never again. Oh man. You know, it even happens to me. Crap 9. I gotta tell you, it even happens to me where sometimes you just get in a bad flow and then everything just breaks. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had a pretty bad setup to where I had my heatsink fan go out on my system out here, and then the inside system, the power supply, the PSU shot craps on me, all within the span of a couple days. And sometimes, you know, it just, when it rains, it pours, and you just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other, and then it just gets better. But Proxmox is still one of my favorites. The Proxmox scripts, these are the best. Like, if you ever, I think it's still in my projects folder. I was gonna do a video on it, but I just never did. And I think a lot of other people did it. The Proxmox VE helper scripts. Oh my gosh. If you're ever doing home lab work and you're doing like a bunch of virtualization with, not headless, but just with the screen, install Proxmox and then use the helper scripts. And there's just so many like absolutely amazing things. Like the post install is probably one of the best scripts ever. And if you're not using the helper scripts here, I'm going to put it in chat so people have it, because man, these are just the best for any kind of helper script. Just the best. I love them. But a lot of times, like in business, I don't use Proxmox very much, believe it or not. For business, a lot of times I end up using XCP and G, which I did like back when I first started YouTube. I made more channel stuff about it, but XCP and G.org. This is more of a business-oriented headless system setup. This is like if you have a rack with a bunch of headless hosts and maybe even storage area network set up, and you want to have high availability. I think XCP and G just does it the best out of everything. And I really don't use Hyper-V and VMware much these days. So typically I'm kind of doing XCP and Proxmox a lot. Home lab, I think Proxmox is just king. And then for businesses on a budget where you don't want to spend like the gajillion dollars in licensing fees, I think XCP and G you just can't beat. It's just one of the best. Yeah, just love it. Yeah, and that's kind of where I kind of sit with the virtualization side. Yeah, I like the LXCs and customization power of Proxmox. Yeah, but I think for home labbers, Proxmox makes the most sense. I remember I kind of flip-flop back and forth. I've used XP&G a lot more in business, but here, I mean, it just makes more sense to use Proxmox. Yeah, VMware's garbage. I mean, VMware's still just like 80 or 90% of probably all virtualization in the enterprise space. So just my 2 cents. So today I kind of wanted to look at, let's go. DWM. I gotta say, I love it, but I want more people to use it. And I had one person make a request on Discord, and it was about toggling the warping. So what warping does, you see where my mouse cursor is? It's over on the left. As soon as I spawn something new, it warps over to the middle of the window. And this person didn't like that functionality. I kind of want to do a poll in chat, because how annoying is the cursor warping? I actually added cursor warping, but I don't know. What's our thought process when it comes to cursor warping when switching applications? Are you a fan? Do you like to just kind of leave it, and as you move, you don't want to go, okay, you're switching to here and then just having it warp somewhere on the screen like this? You know? I think it should stay where it is. Cursor warping messes up my flow. I personally hate it. I hate it. Annoying. Hate it. Certified poop. Man. So this just tells me I'm out of touch. I am out of touch because I added cursor warping to it. That's fair. That's fair. Make it a toggle. Yeah. Okay, somebody in chat. Pickle says he likes it. There's one person out there. I'm not completely on my own island, but yeah, that's pretty funny. I heard rumors Chris will be coding in C. I don't really know C, so it's more of me pounding away at C and trying to get it to work. For people who are used to mouse, it will feel awkward when the mouse position changes, since they need to search for it again. I guess because I'm so used to keyboard, and sometimes only having keyboard only movement, I don't really notice cursor warping as much as the average user. But I guess that makes sense, Duo. Like, I think people that really use mouse a bunch, which I thought I used it a good bit, but now that you say that, it tells me most average users probably are heavy mouse users, and I think I use my keyboard obviously more than my actual mouse for navigation, so that does make sense. So do you still use Arch? You bet your ass I use Arch. We are on 524 days. It still says Omarchy there. This is not Omarchy though. Probably should update that, but whatever. 542. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this. Now, if you want to look at like DWM patches, now, obviously if you use my DWM, or Omitus as this stream is called, you can go on DWM patches. This is on suckless.org. And there's probably a patch called like cursor warp, I bet. Oh, look at that. There is. Warps the cursor to the center of the target window when switching between focus stack, focus mon, manage, and unmanage. So anytime you're managing or unmanaging a window, you're changing the focus or the monitor, it will automatically cursor warp. So if I go from 1 to 3, it warps to the center screen. So move it to the right, come back to 3. Ah, there it is in the center. So that is what this patch is doing. Probably not ideal for most people. Now, it's not a big patch. So what I do, since I really don't know C, I just look at the code and I go, oh, what are we doing? All right, when select mon select happens, and if we look at the function, how to read, like if you want to read any kind of get differential, like looking at this, let's scroll in, enhance. But when we scroll in, we look at this. The big thing I look at, first thing is, hey, what function are we in? We are in the focus monitor, focus stack down here. So in this function, we find that. And then we just look for the script if selmon slow x warp pointer, and then this happens. This is just an addition. There is no minus. There's just a plus here on the left side. So this just means we're adding 2 lines to this, 1 line to this one, 2 lines to this one, and 3 lines to this one for unmanaged, manage, focus stack, and then focus monitor. So now we kind of got an idea of how cursor warping is coded in. So now we can actually come into here, pull up our DWMC, and go, okay, well, here's unmanaged. Heck, we're already there. So unmanaged, we'll start from the bottom and go up. Can you see where X pointer warp it is? I feel like I'm Dora the Explorer. Can you find it? It's kind of the same thing. Oh, warp cursor to center of window. Oh, X warp pointer. There it is. So we're just going to remove that. Boom. Set the input focus to the top window. Okay, that sounds okay. No top window. So that's pretty much it from that. So X pointer, that's it. Now we can double check. What was that other lines in the unmanaged? There's this if selmon m select x warp pointer, which this is pretty much 1 line. It just says 2 lines. The other if statement for this just, well, pretty much got replaced. So we really didn't need that other if statement, and it just didn't here. So that patch didn't quite align, but we understood how it worked, and that means we can make that change. So now we've done that. Now let's go to the next version of this, which is going to be the manage. So we're just going to find manage here. And it's going to take too long, so we're going to go X warp pointer. So this one is going to be the view. This warps cursor to target monitor. That's fine. Let's go up to the next. This is place mouse, warp cursor to current center, client center. Now, why does it do that? This is under a place mouse situation. I think that's okay as well. That's a different function. Swiper, no swiping. And then warp. If there's no active winner, warp it to the middle of the screen. That's also fine. Try to warp it to the active window if there is. View. Oh, that's kind of strange. So we never had another warp pointer. It was only unmanaged. So if we look at the, I'm kind of curious to see. The other ones were manage window, focus stack, and focus mon. Let's look at those. I'm kind of curious to see what I'm doing. The warp doesn't look like it's happening except for monitors. So let's go focus mon. This is this one. Very simple. So this is what's happening. It's its own function. So it still calls the warp on focus monitor. Well, we don't really want that, do we? I think we comment that out. This is not HTML. Oh no, there it goes. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna check it with chat here. I think we're on the same thing. Let's see, make sure we're not missing anything. 1 second. Bar, I'm gonna comment to errors.
I heard of a possible Microsoft Asus handling. It uses less RAM than regular Windows. You think there'll be some kind of new WinUtil contributors can figure out how exactly they disabled? And could they save some RAM too? Possibly. I mean, honestly, I think they're probably just doing a custom ISO spin and just maintaining a different branch probably from Microsoft. If they're going and chasing the handheld market, I know they're trying to do an Xbox handheld. That's going to probably be a custom Windows spin. Now, we might be able to copy and use that, much like a lot of sysadmin people use like an IoT enterprise LTSC spin of Windows that's considerably less bloated than the retail counterpart. So totally. It just depends though. Like I heard the Windows experience sucks on it, which means they might have stripped too much out. It's always a balancing act. As far as bar over here on YouTube, Chris, I have a MediaTek MT7902 Wi-Fi on my laptop, but it doesn't have a driver on Linux. Is there a way to get the driver from Windows to work on Linux? No, you can't just port the driver, but have you tried custom firmware drivers? So typically when I run into something like this, you know, as much as people like crap on LLMs are actually pretty good. Usually they can, what packages for this to work in Linux? So I treat LLMs more like a Google search. They might point you in the right directory. Apparently, you just installed the Linux Dash firmware package. It already has those needed packages. So if you're on Debian, just apt install Linux firmware, Arch, Pacman-S, Linux firmware, Fedora, and Fedora-based spins, DNF install Linux firmware. So that's actually a pretty easy one. Now, after you install the firmware, reboot or reload the module with a sudo mod probe, and then add your MT7921E, and that's it. There you go. Anything else? No. So that should work for you. Pretty easy out of the box. I would say, you know, I always like crapping on LLMs, but I would say these are probably the best for Linux support because there's so many little gotchas in Linux, and the Linux community can be a little bit of an aggressive bunch and not very helpful at times. They'll be like, read the manual, you noob. But LLMs do typically a great job of this. And let's say you're like, well, this isn't quite right, or maybe it hallucinated and this doesn't work. Give sources for this information, because all they do is steal information typically. So let's see. Tell me exactly where this came from.
Yeah, well, yes. The dude abides.
Halo, thanks for the super chat. All right, 1 second, I'll get to your question. I'm just gonna get this. There is no official Linux driver. Thanks. See, this is where LLMs go wrong. It did hallucinate. That's pretty funny. So, using a Linux Wi-Fi compatible dongle, replace the card, experimental drivers. So there are some. Yeah, so this is the MT7902 DKMS driver. Now, if you're going to use DKMS, you need to make sure you're using Linux-DKMS so it can load these modules. And you also have the DKMS package installed for your system. Then you can probably build this and use it. Doesn't look like it has any commits in the last year though, so be very interesting. But yeah, having obscure Wi-Fi drivers definitely sucks on Linux, because you got to remember sometimes they purposely make proprietary stuff, or even spyware gets built into Wi-Fi. So they try and close off some Wi-Fi drivers. So I honestly don't like more obscure Wi-Fi drivers like this. And I also, to kind of tackle this in the Linux community, it's important to know when it comes to hardware, a lot of Linux folks out there really like to say everything works on Linux and Linux is just the best ever. And this is not true. You gotta have hardware that is good for Linux. Just because it works in Windows does not mean it'll work in Linux. And that's a very important distinction to make. I make sure when I am going to use Linux as a primary box that the hardware I have on that box is in a good state, unless I want to challenge. Obviously, I could still get this Wi-Fi driver working, but it's going to require a lot of challenge and building from source, so to speak. Ain't nobody like that. So, yeah, no. Yeah, no, that's just one of those things. Let's see. All right, so Halo. I'm slowly moving over to Fedora KDE from Windows. Are you sick of 12 side key mouse vendors and software that could work with Corsair mice? Now, I've used a lot of different hardware providers over the years in Linux, Corsair being one of them, and Razer, actually. I hate both Razer and Corsair. They're trash. The software they have installed on your Windows is trash. Let's not beat around the bush, shall we? You might be thinking Titus, but I like to cycle out the colors and have all the rainbow on my mouse and the pretty flashing lights. Like, dude, I get it. And it's gaming. It's a gaming mouse. It's a gaming keyboard that flashes at me. I also get that, right? But that is just what we call marketing. Now, you might be thinking my favorite influencer recommends Corsair or even Razer. Well, they get paid to recommend that. That's how that works as well. Nobody that's really knows the stuff about hardware recommends a Razer or a Corsair piece of hardware. I've never met someone that is extremely competent on a computer that goes, I gotta have my Razer, I gotta have my Corsair, gotta have the flashing colors. It doesn't exist. So I need to just specify that right out of the gate. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, I'm not a millionaire. I was duped. I'm an idiot. I accidentally bought Razer and Corsair. I've been in your shoes. I've been that person, right? You can install and use some of this stuff, and there is some really nice open source tools to do specifically that. A big one would be probably OpenRGB. Oh, let's see here. I'll have to stop you right there. PSUs for Corsair are pretty good. That's fair. That's fair. I've had some good PSUs from Corsair. I haven't had any crap out on me from Corsair. So I will say, I agree with you, Peter. That's okay. But keyboards and mouse, I think we can all agree. I can agree. Corsair and Razer, honestly, it's a bit of a competition these days. Corsair and Razer, they kind of both suck equally these days. I think Razer's probably a little bit worse when it comes to the Synapses and all the software that gets installed on Windows-based PCs. But, I mean, we're definitely comparing two giant piles of shite that are, like, both smell really bad. But it's like, oh, that one's just... Oh, that one's, that's like protein powder and stuff afterwards. This one over here, it's awful. It's awful as well, but that's more of like hot wings and beer. I don't know which is worse. They both smell really bad. And that's kind of what we're comparing when it comes to Razer and Corsair. But for like DPI control, RGB control, OpenRGB is pretty good. I want to say we also have used in the past something else. What was the other one? What was the other keypad manager specifically for some of the advanced Corsair keyboards I remember using? It wasn't OpenRGB, I don't believe. I want to say, I can't remember what I downloaded, but there was another tool out there. Let's go. Download. I better put it in like my app images. Gear lever. No, that's not it. What else do we have here? Nope. Sorry, I'm just kind of going through here and removing some old stuff as I'm looking for what piece of software I was using. I'm like, oh, well, I don't use that anymore, but yeah, I'm drawing a blank. And chat. Yeah, that's it. CXB next. That's what. Thank you. You are just such a chat. I'm gonna gift you a sub, man. Yeah. We're going. Just anytime I get a good response from chat, you're getting a sub. Because Twitch chats suck.
Yeah, well, the dude abides.
Yeah, mythical first time chatter pull. It's fair. Yeah, technically I'm only losing $2.50. What a deal. Cancel my sub so I can get a free one. Yeah, Dan. Okay. So yeah, as CXB next, let me just pull that up just so people can see that as well. I think I was using this for the Corsair keyboard. Because yeah. That's exactly what it was. I had a Corsair. Do I still have it? No, I gave it away. I still have a old Razer though. Oh, what is this? This is a Synosa Lite. So there's that too. So I've made my fair share of bad purchases over the years. These days, I'm you know what? Logitech. A Logitech mechanical keyboard actually is what I use these days. I switch between a bunch of systems all at once here, and I hate having multiple keyboards. And I'm able to do all three at the same time with both the Logitech keyboard, and then I just use the Logitech MX mouse. So very basic setup for me these days. I don't really try to go too much above and beyond. I'm just like, that's good enough. CXB Next was written by an employee of Corsair after somebody on Reddit asked for help. Oh, that's a good little tidbit too. Thank you, Peter. Can you give your honest opinion about this? Let's see, we've got a Util discussion. Make a video explaining new features with every feature update. I'd like to see a shorter video that explains the various changes that has been done as far as new features are regarded. Like actually showing a user where they can see changes so they have to, how to find it, how to use it, and when there's been a significant change. Okay. Saying that we have a huge change in MicroWin, for example, people with autism, for instance, will have a hard time with vast changes very often, knowing exactly what changed. Having a video explaining how everything's actually changed, why might it be less to use it. Okay. I've tried to do this to an extent, but probably have not been as detailed as I should be. But I think that's a solid comment and discussion. I agree with that. Yeah. I'll try to be more descriptive and make videos when these changes happen. I like it. Always appreciate the feedback. Learn to read, close discussion. Linux user spotted. That would be the best Linux user response ever. Learn to read. Usually they just go read the effing manual, RTFM, which is essentially the same thing, but I think I like that better. Learn to read, close discussion. This is how you know I'm not 100% on Linux. Although I do use Linux primarily all the time now, but you know, when I need to, I still have my looking glass. Oh, wait, what happened with that, by the way? 1 second. Wait a second. Oh, did I screw something up here? I was about to pull it up and then my hotkey didn't work. What happened? Looking glass client full, Windows mod key W. Well, what happened? Loading config.config client. Config pw.conf. One second. Sorry. Interesting. What happened here? Classic Linux moment. Here we go. Oh, durr. Oopsies. I forgot to launch it. My bad. It helps if you start the VM before you try and, you know, actually use it. Just like one of those things. Is it on? No? Turn it on. And there we go. So then we got our nice Windows instance. Ah, perfect. All right, cool. Yeah, that does work quite well. I love it. Anyways, what was the other one? I'm sorry, we completely got sidetracked editing the warp of the Corsair. All right. Yeah, I blame you, chat. Just impossible. It's like herding a cat. Focus stack is going to be the next one. What are we doing for warp? See, there's that warp again. Although, yeah, I feel like we do warp there. And then the next one should be probably on the stack windows, right? That's update. Now this is manage. There's the warp. If visible, see. I think that's okay, actually. And if we look at the here, so we got focus stack and manage. That is the manage. Yeah, I think that warp needs to go, actually. I think we're going to go star. And we're going to go star here with that. I feel like that is there. Now let's check it. We have warp anywhere else? Warp null. This is under move stack, which move stack we don't have in our warp of the cursor. So that's fine. So we finally doing some work on DWM? I don't want to make any promises, Peter, but God willing, we should. Place mouse, warp cursor to client center if arg equal to. I think that's okay. Now, warp, this is a scan. We have to run manage on a window that isn't visible to deterministic on startup, place focus warp on current master if any client exists. I think that warp in that instance would be fine. This is a warp null. That's fine. Warp null. Here we go. Warp to target monitor. That's on a view. Yeah, I kind of want to warp it to the monitor though. Yeah, I think that's fine. We're going to go with it. Warp null. Then we have all of the warp function that were added. Forget why I added that function. I'm sure it's fairly simple. So these are pretty much our warps that we've done. I think we can do a compile, and then we should no longer have cursor warping, and we'll push out an update because somebody was asking for this. We might do a toggle for this, but let's first verify that this does work. We are up to date. Sudo make clean install. Yeah, this should work on pretty much any install. The idea behind this, I think we're gonna have to actually talk about it. Then we're gonna actually come back and test what we just programmed. But first, let's go.
Okay, so the idea here with everything, we got the warping of the terminal. I'm gonna fix that. But someone asked in chat, DWM or Omitus. I do like Omitus. It does have a funny ring, and it kind of just is a little bit making fun of DHH's Omarchy. A little tongue-in-cheek. I just love it to death. As I don't take myself that seriously. But the idea is, it's less than a meg, and you could pretty much load it and its dependencies for DWM on any distro. So that means Debian, Arch, Fedora, any variety of different ones. I even, on a Nix setup once upon a time, I did a complete build and install of it, and that worked out good. So I think the idea behind all of this is any system can run this, and then inevitably there's going to be changes, especially right now if you were to try it. It's not going to be for you. I've made it for me, and I haven't made it universal enough with enough options and toggles to make it to where you'll like it. One day we might get there, but that's not today. But you can try how I used my system. You can try what you're seeing right now on the screen on any distro, because it's so stinking light. And we can even do it on a VM really fast. Load it up. It'll take less than 5 minutes. But the thing about it is, I don't want to make something giant and large and be its own distribution. I don't want that. I want you to just kind of have something super small and show you don't need all the crap. Like when it comes to like Omarchy, which I love that it's getting so much buzz in the space, mostly the programming space, but still a lot of people are using it and going, I like this workflow. I like how this is set up. Now I want to show you there's some other ingredients in the kitchen that isn't using. And frankly, that's like so much crap to do tiling window management. And I'm like, it's just too much. All you need is just a hammer and a nail. And that's what DWM is. And I just love it for that. So yes, not only can you install it on anything, but it's going to use 5-10 megs with dependencies, maybe. It's not that big. So I love it. I love it. So yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts of it. Absolutely love it. We're going for it.
Yeah. So anyways, let's reload this thing, right? What's up, Yag? How's it going? Shout out to YouTube.
Yeah, well,
BBQ, thank you for the
dude
tier 1.
abides.
Good sir. I have to show this comment. This comment is great. This is the fact that Omarchy ships with hotkeys for Twitter and Grok by default kills me. Live, I agree with you, sir. I agree. That is just such a hilarious comment, but you and I are on the same wavelength 100%. Thank you for the comment. That's just absolutely hilarious and absolutely ridiculous all at the same time.
The dude abides.
Enjoy a gifted sub on me because you're absolutely right. Oh, I miss barbecue in Texas. Yeah, you know, Texas does have some of the best barbecue. It is a very opinionated setup. Facts. Anytime, brother. I love the comment. But I'm making fun of it a little bit, but there are certain things about Omarchy I've stolen. Specifically, the hotkey for web apps to pull up like ChatGPT no matter where I'm at. So then I can just be like, hey, I got these warnings. Let's just grab that, paste it over here. And I can just take it, drop it in, get feedback, and then come right back into my terminal, or if I'm over anywhere. I love that aspect of it. So I stole that from Omarchy. There's a lot of opinionated setups that DHH has done. I've just kind of taken, I'm like, ooh, I like how he did that. Or I don't like how he did it, but I like the idea of what he did. Another thing is like his keybinds. I love having that on just like a thing. I gotta fix this still. But like, hey, how do I get to the power menu in mine? Super control Q. So if we quit out of that, super control Q, and then we got our power menu. It's those little tidbits that I kind of love about it. And it showed me you can make a very intuitive tiling window manager. And I just didn't like any of the ingredients he used to make the cake at the end of the day. The opinionated setup of Omarchy, I loved what he did and how he made it. The techniques he used was fantastic, but the ingredients he picked, I didn't like. I didn't like Hyperland. I didn't like the fact that you're using Wayland. I didn't like that he built hotkeys for Grok and X and all that crap. I'm just like, that's gross to me. It's bloated. I don't like that one password gets installed. But I'm not saying I don't like Omarchy. I'm saying I just don't like how it was constructed. I didn't like the ingredients he used to make it. But how he did it, I thought was really, really great. So why not pick our own ingredients and make what we did using the same methods he chose? I think that's a great idea. And he has it all right there because the beauty of open source. So yeah, I love it. I love it, but I'm very much more old school than that. Did you see your bash borked the latest Omarchy update? Oh no. Well, that's just a Linux thing there. But yeah. I have to look to see exactly what happened there. As he builds more and more to it, I think the idea I have where I have different philosophies from like DHH is the less ingredients, the better. The more minimal I can make it while also having it user friendly is what I strive for. I'm terribly, terribly failing at this objective, but my mission statement, if I had to pick one thing for Omitus, it's this: minimal ingredients, maximum user friendliness. Tagline pending. We're still workshopping that a little bit.
The dude binds.
Still workshopping a little bit. Dang, BBQ, thank you for the tier 3. Oh, brother. I appreciate you. That is incredible. Yeah. Kind of unrelated, but does removing Edge update you did in the last week when Util update work yet? I think it got launched. Pretty sure. Yeah, I think it's there. Ah, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, the thing about Linux is Linux does not break user space, but user space breaks itself. Yeah, my favorite saying too, kind of in that same vein, Phoenix, is Linux can be the most stable user desktop in the world, but it also can be the most unstable user desktop in the world. It just depends on the user. So very, very true. Very, very true. What do you find? Find command utility in Arch. It's cool. Check the AUR. Find the command utility. I'll have to look at that up, Pink. Mango WC. What do we got? Wayland compositor based on WL roots. I'm out. As soon as I see Wayland, I'm like, I don't want to. I am not. I don't enjoy Wayland. It's been discussed many, many times. I just don't like it. Call me a hater. All right, before we go anywhere. All right, we need to quit. We've already rebuilt DWM, but we need to test our mouse warping. So if you look where the mouse is, and we talk about mouse warping. So whenever we switch desktops, this is happening. Let's go. All right, we're gonna close everything. We'll just close. All right, so we're nice and closed. Let's go quit. It's gonna close DWM, and then we're gonna relaunch it. And there we go, relaunched. So that's still warping. But it's not warping when applications are open. So we still have some warping happening. Oh, chat, do we not want any warping? Ah, damn it. I know what you're going to say. I don't even know why I bothered asking. Of course we don't want any warping. All right, we got to fix it. No warping. Fine. So what about on monitor view? No, you don't want warping. Fine. All right, what's the next warp? Warp null on view. That's fine. This is, if there's no active window, just warp to the middle of the screen. You guys don't want that at all. All right, try to warp to active window. Actually, you know what? We're gonna just get rid of the whole warp function altogether. All right, fine. We got warp client up here. Let's get rid of that statement. We're gonna 86 the warp altogether, guys. These are just comments that we're removing. All right, that's not there. Warp null, get rid of these. And then warp to center client, get rid of. Get rid of that. Warp null, get rid of. And one more warp null. Now, some of that I probably shouldn't have gotten rid of, but I just don't want any mouse warping at all, ever. All right, let's pull up chat again. Titus is like the Linux grandpa yelling at Wayland. Stay off his proverbial X11 lawn. Damn these kids these days and their fancy compositors. Oh, God. Yeah. You're not wrong. Not wrong. Oh, gosh. Let's go here and then let's pull up YouTube as well. Now, I do kind of want like some kind of active reloading here. And if we look at everything, I think it's fine now. We're gonna do a reload. Let's make sure we can actually do that. So DWM, we're gonna do a sudo make clean install. Should be fine. And the problem, since we're changing some of like the core functionality here, you kind of have to quit out of everything to relaunch. So it's going to be a little redundant, but it's not terrible. It does seem like my network does take a little bit to come back up though when we're doing this. I feel like I need to change. Yeah, we got no warping, by the way. So no warping. We are solid. Yep, let's restore that. Let's take you, put you on 5, put you on 5. I wonder if I could like filter the tags out. I know I can do this. I probably filter the tags out for live streams. I don't want to build this directly in DWM, but I should create options that says, hey, when finding live chat or this type of regex for a stream, go ahead and just shoot it to workspace 5 so it just creates this layout every time. I think that'd be pretty awesome. So now we've got DWM. We're gonna patch this. Just big shout out to someone in my Discord. We'll pull up Discord here in a second. Let's go lazy G. We're gonna call this removing mouse warping. Boom, done. So now there's no more mouse warping. 1, 2, 3. You can see the mouse over here. All of it. No more mouse warping. I don't necessarily want hot reloading, Phoenix. I think we might do some kind of hot reloading, but you know, maybe eventually for certain toggles, but for this, I don't think so. Advantages DWM over i3. DWM is a little bit lighter EB and not much in the way of configuration. Although I think the thing I like most about DWM is if you don't like a feature or you don't like the way something works, you just code it and change it. Like no matter whatever it is you can think up, if you can think it, you can do it in DWM. So the sky is the limit. And if I find something that's annoying to me, I just recode it. Like right now, the warping was making people angry. And I was like, yeah, no worries, I got you. And we recode that. So then when we go like DWM Titus, let's go ahead and make a new release. Oh God, I haven't done a release in forever. Let's just draft a new release. Tag. Create a new tag. We're gonna go 0.3. Let's create that. 0.3. We can grab release notes. Big changes with removal of systray and integration with polybar via EWMH management. Other big changes, removal of mouse warping. What other big things? I'm not going to mention all the polyboard changes. I think it's just kind of pointless. There's just enough. And this is early days too, so it's like, We can also look on the roadmap too. So if we look at roadmap, complete, we redid some of the installs. This is more Util. We also had a keyring unlock issue we fixed. Move setup script to Util we did. We have the EWMH integration that we've actually done. Still working on multi-monitor a little bit. Preliminary installs are done. We'll mention it here. First iteration of multi-monitor added. Note, and still doesn't work well, but it's getting there. Oh my God, I'm terrible. All right. We're going to set this to release. We'll go to GitHub, DWM Titus, and this should be in the release folder. Open that up. Yep. Other thing, did I... multi-monitor tags per monitor, DWM tag adjustment. We also had bump, rebase, DWM version to 6.6, rebased patches from official suck list branch. Okay. Publish that. Okay, so this is v0.3, and you'll notice it is 47 kilobytes. So we're going to keep things small as we possibly can, and I think that's kind of what we got. You may find it useful in the Arch Linux chaotic AUR. Find the command. All right, let's take a look. You mentioned it a couple times, Ping. Let's take a look. Only 33 people have had this. So a little bit too fresh for me to use it. Been around forever though. Last commit 3 years ago. Interactive command not found hook for bash CSH uses pacman as the backend. By the way, this stuff should be completely rewritten because it's very ugly. Interesting. Yeah, I just don't like hooking things into my bash prompt. That's my main thing. So if we look at it, we use bash. Ask first option. Install info list files. It's interesting. Yeah, for something like this, since it doesn't see very many updates, I probably would just steal it. Steal it like a greedy goblin. Copy pasta. Clean up the environment. That's what I love about open source. You find a cool project, instead of trying to grab it from the AUR. Since this is essentially a bash script, I probably would just integrate this directly into my bash script. And then grab these, sync them into like a database directory, and then use it all myself. Claim all the credit. While also citing the source, of course. I'm not a complete monster. You know. But, you know, when in Rome. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. So far today, we still have Plymouth screen to do, Gibson auto start setup, which for screensaver setup, let me just show that. We're using Gibson. We don't have power management enabled or anything, so that's fine. Oh yeah, I need to set this up to auto start. So we got to work on like the auto start of that. But I do love X Screensaver specifically. You poor Wayland peasants don't understand how awesome it is. It's just great. You get to enjoy some of the beauty of Xorg that's been around for so long. Yeah, I know. It's just there's so much nice development that's happened in X over the past decades that I don't know. It's just hard to. It's hard for me to ever leave it, because like when I leave it and I ever try out Wayland and a lot of the Wayland utilities, everything just seems like it's a bloated mess. The best analogy I can make for most people out there is, you remember like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, games used to be like maybe 1 or 2 gigs. They didn't have a launcher. You launched into it and it worked. That's how games used to be. Sometimes they come on just like a CD and you pop the CD in and you can just copy it directly, or you do a basic install, right? And that's kind of how Xorg is to me. It's much like the games of yesteryear. You have so many like cool tools like you're seeing right now on the screen. And Wayland and Hyperland and GNOME and KDE and a lot of the Wayland's forks of it, the new compositors out there, they feel like the new games. Instead of it being 1 or 2 gigs, it's like the new Call of Duty's what, 200 gigs? It's a lot like that. It seems like you have a whole bunch more bloat for not a lot return. I guess some fancier graphics, a little bit more fanciness. But is it worth it? To me, the answer is no. But the answer is different for everybody. And I look at something like this and I'm just like, I just want my old games. I don't need any of this newfangled crap. Ah. You know, that's just my thought. I mean, yes, Xorg apparently, inherently, should be more bloated from a code standpoint, but when you add in the compositors, the utilities, and everything, there's no comparison. Wayland always ends up being way more bloated. I literally think we're in for something We're in for something kind of crazy. So
that's what my thoughts are with the whole Wayland situation. I tackle it so often, but I try and do these DWM streams mainly because I think we can do so much more. We have so much more ability, I think, using the older tools. The older tooling, I think, is just better. I know a lot of people would disagree with that. Many people are like, Titus, what are you talking about? Wayland's the future. I just don't agree with that. After using both, to me, it's just not. There he goes again, doubling down. I know. Yeah. Anyways, guys, love you all. We're going to continue working on this. If there's any other feedback from DWM or Omitus, whatever you want to call it, hit on the Discord. You can hit exclamation Discord and chat right now if you're on Twitch, and you'll see the Discord server. You can go over there, and there's a section called DWM Suggestions, and if there's something bothering you with my DWM setup, and go, Titus, you are a crazy, insane person. First, I probably agree with you, but I still would like to hear you say that and give me the exact feedback I need to make it feel better for you. That's the thing. Like today, somebody, I think it was like Balthazar. I probably butchered the name. I can't remember, but somebody in the Discord mentioned they hated the mouse warping, and then I said in chat, hey, what do you all think about mouse warping? I always thought it was kind of a cool thing, and people are like, no, you are crazy. It's not a cool thing. People hate it. You need to remove it. I'm like, okay. Literally 90% of chat was like, yeah, absolutely not. And then the other 10% was kind of like, it doesn't bother me that much. It's just, yeah, it's kind of bad, but it's fine. I don't use my mouse very much, I think is what once somebody said. I was like, yeah, okay, that's just a bad feature. We need to remove that. So I appreciate the feedback. Thank you all for coming. I do love the comments, everything. Love you all for putting up with my craziness and these Xorg Wayland rants. Different strokes for different folks, you know? It's just cool. Thank you, guys. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday. I think we're going to do some Linux utility action, followed by whatever, because I always try and structure these things, but I think I'm giving up. We're just going to do whatever comes to mind. Anyways, love you all. Have a good one. See y'all later. Well, maybe. Oh, I broke it. Well, that's okay. We're just gonna sit here awkward for a little bit. Maybe eventually.